Okay, so let's just dive right in. I mean, you feel it, right? We're living in this world that's just so noisy. It feels like it's designed to keep us distracted, shallow, and constantly reacting to the next thing. So the big question is, how do we build something sturdier inside? How do we actually construct a meaningful life that can stand up to all that chaos?
Well, there's this old Spanish proverb that I think holds a really powerful clue. A mal tiempo, buena cara.
It translates to, in bad weather, a good face. And let's be real, the bad weather of our time is this constant churning storm. It's an entire architecture of noise and distraction built to keep us looking outward, always reacting, never really acting from our own center.
So how do we build an inner life that can actually handle that storm? And listen, this isn't about finding some shelter to go hide in. No, it's about constructing something so solid that it can stand tall right in the middle of the hurricane.
Every great structure you've ever seen starts with a solid foundation. And for the kind of life we're talking about building, that foundation is stillness. Before we can even think about building up, we have to quiet down.
I love the story behind this idea. So there was this businessman who heard he should return to solitude, and he immediately thought, okay, I guess I have to sell my company and become a monk. But the master corrected him, saying what you see here. No, hold on to your business and go into your heart.
And that just nails the point, doesn't it? Stillness isn't an escape hatch. It's an internal quality, something you build inside yourself and then carry with you no matter where you go. Just think back to 2020. The whole world kind of forced us into a collective stillness, and in that quiet, a lot of us rediscovered what actually truly matters.
And this isn't just some abstract philosophical concept. It has real, tangible power. Take the golfer Zach Johnson. He's facing this immense, career-defining pressure at the Open Championship, and he grounds himself by reciting this verse. It didn't magically make the pressure vanish, but it gave him an inner peace that allowed him, in his own words, to play free.
Stillness also gives birth to a kind of superpower, the discipline of silence. The Roman statesman Cato the Younger was famous for this. In a culture that rewarded the loudest, most passionate speeches, he would just wait. He would only open his mouth when he was absolutely certain that what he was about to say was better than silence. I mean, look at this comparison. It's a radical act today, right? It's the difference between reacting out of pure agitation and speaking from a place of deep, solid strength.
Okay, so we've got our foundation poured, but no one starts building a house without a blueprint, right? A plan. For us, that blueprint is a code.
10. What does this number make you think of? For a lot of us, it's the 10 Commandments. But I want to challenge you to think about them in a totally different way for a second.
They're not just a list of don'ts, they're a framework, an architecture for how to be in a good, healthy relationship with life itself, with truth, and with the people around you. In a world that's just getting more and more complex, a simple, powerful code like this gives you a compass, a clear direction to guide your choices.
And hey, the point is not to be perfect. The legendary coach, Vince Lombardi, absolutely nailed it. A code isn't about being flawless. It's about having that high standard to strive for. It gives your life intention. It gives it a backbone.
So we have a foundation of stillness, a blueprint of a code. Now it's time to actually start putting up the beams. And that framework? That's purpose. Because a life can be still and principled, but without a direction, without a why, it's just empty.
Coco Chanel's life is an absolute masterclass in this. I mean, she started with literally nothing, an orphan with zero resources, but she followed this clear, powerful strategy. First, she found her calling. Then, and this is the crucial part, she didn't just daydream. She strategically put herself in the room with mentors, and from them, she soaked up all of it, the practical wisdom, the tough feedback, and the confidence she needed to build an empire.
And this leads to such an important point, captured perfectly by the author, Robert Greene. Purpose is contagious. You can't just admire it from a distance. You have to get close. You have to prioritize being near that energy, letting it raise your own standards, and just absorbing that spirit of getting things done.
All right, any well-built structure has to be tested to prove its strength, right? In life, those tests come in the form of difficulty, adversity, and hardship. And our natural instinct is to run away from that stuff.
But the Stoics, like the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, they offer this totally radical alternative. Don't just endure hardship, use it. The very thing standing in your way isn't some roadblock to be avoided. It's the raw material for your own growth. That obstacle is the way forward.
This image of a fire just perfectly captures it. Think about a raging bonfire. It doesn't just survive when you throw a big log on it. It consumes it. It grows stronger. It literally turns the obstacle into fuel. And that's how we can approach difficulty, not as something that makes us smaller, but as the very thing that makes us larger.
We have the foundation, the blueprint, the framework, and we've stress-tested it. But a cold, stone structure isn't a home. There's one last, absolutely essential element that binds it all together and makes it warm. And that's the mortar.
This is love, and I don't just mean it as a feeling, but as a foundational action. The journalist David Carr wrote this in an email to his daughter when she was starting a new job overseas. Years later, he died very unexpectedly. But that letter, that foundation of love and support and pride, it remained. That's the stuff that holds you up when you have to face the storm, knowing you don't face it alone. So now you can really see how it all interlocks, right? The stillness lets you know yourself. The code gives that knowledge a backbone. The purpose gives it all direction and momentum. Difficulty gets transformed into fuel for the journey. And finally, love. Love is what turns the whole structure into a warm, livable home.
And this brings us right back to the beginning. A mal tiempo, buena cara. This inner architecture is what lets us put on that good face. Not a fake smile, not denial, but the quiet, steady confidence of someone who has done the work, built the structure, and knows deep down that they can withstand the storm.
You know, the beautiful thing about this kind of construction is that the work is never really done. It begins again every single morning. We can always start again. So, the only question left to ask is, are you ready?